Automobile Whoosh in Germany, Germany's premier automotive industry publication, has reported another bankruptcy in Europe. And it says a wave of bankruptcies are coming to Europe this year. In fact, approximately 50% higher bankruptcies are going to be seen in Europe this year and in Germany in particular versus last year, which is a horrendous number considering 2024 was already the worst year on record. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Now, another company called Vail, they have just announced their bankruptcy. They are an automotive industry supplier. That's all they do, car supplier. Now, Voigt is insolvent as well. Voigt are a company in Europe that supply parts for primarily for Germany and Sweden's automotive industry. They had hoped that the company could be sold to a Chinese company, but the Chinese company looked at the business and they eventually went, you know what, this is not a good investment. So that means 1,600 employees working for that company will no longer have a job. Now, this comes amidst a so-called wave of bankruptcies. There is a lot of panic in Germany right now. Automobile Whoosh reports that up to 50% more bankruptcies will happen this year as auto suppliers face a wave of bankruptcies in 2025. There have already been significantly more bankruptcies in 2024, and industry experts expect 2025 to be much, much worse. Large suppliers are coming under pressure, and you'd think that untouchable companies like Bosch, they'll be fine, right? But they're not. Bosch have already announced they are going to fire, I believe, more than 10,000 people in Germany. The automotive supply industry in Germany is facing a wave of bankruptcy, says Automobile Whoosh. We assume that insolvencies in the automotive sector will rise by 40 to 50% in 2025, says Jonas Eckhart, automotive expert at the restructuring consultancy Falkensteg, to Automobile Whoosh. The industry was already hit very hard in 2024. Compared to 2023, corporate bankruptcies in this sector increased by around 2/3, by around 66%, reaching the level that we saw during the coronavirus pandemic in 2020. This means that in 2024, 1 in 6 insolvencies were in the automotive industry. 1 in 6. That's a remarkably high percentage. Last year, traditional companies such as Recaro also went bankrupt, but areas in the automotive environment, such as electrical engineering or the plastics industry, through to mechanical engineering, are also being drawn into the vortex. It's like a Death Star. It's like a black hole, and everyone's kind of getting sucked into it. There's definitely a crisis in Germany's automotive industry, but it's not just Germany. This is now starting to kind of swallow up the entire automotive industry across all of Europe. For the first time, even large companies are faltering. Last year, the insolvencies primarily affected foundries and electroplating companies. According to the industry expert, the castings industry in this country, for example, is just no longer competitive with China. And why would it be? Think about it. Gigacasting, a practice that now Chinese companies and Tesla have started to use, means you don't need all the casting that you needed before. The parts are bought more cheaply abroad as well, they say. Otherwise, the general rule is, if fewer cars are produced, correspondingly fewer parts are needed. The Falkensteg manager also said, larger insolvencies such as those of the WKW Group, with a turnover of 600 million euros, or Eisman, with a turnover of €500 million, were rare in the past, but not anymore. In the past, vehicle manufacturers would not have dropped such a large supplier. The problem was solved in advance and prices were adjusted because the money was available. Now, many larger companies are also in crisis. Larger suppliers are under greater pressure than ever before. Experts are noticing that vehicle manufacturers are very cautious when it comes to price negotiations with their suppliers because they themselves are under huge pressure. This is also becoming a problem for the large suppliers. That is why a company with a turnover of 1 billion euros or more will find itself in trouble in future years, he says. Now, basically, experts in Germany are predicting that there'll be many bankruptcies in Europe over the next few years. In fact, They believe the automotive industry could potentially even cease to exist in Germany. Now, that's not going to happen within a few years, but it could eventually happen. It's happened in places like Australia. In recent years, it has become clear that the suppliers who supply the vehicle manufacturers directly do not like self-administered insolvencies. They find them too expensive and too focused on the existing shareholders. Vehicle manufacturers want to see an insolvency administrator at the supplier. That is why, compared to other industries, there are significantly more standard insolvency proceedings in the automotive segment than those under self-administration. Now, here's a list of some of the companies that have gone under. As you can see, quite a few of them, and they're big. But I mean, experts are saying this list is going to grow significantly in 2025. Now, apparently, they're saying insolvency administrators have only two options left. They either carry out a hard restructuring or pure liquidation. And I'm going to guess in most cases, liquidation is really the only choice when you've got suppliers from China offering the same parts for 50% less cost. Lars Feist, European head of the management consultancy FTI Consulting, which specializes in restructuring, he says this is correct. Every company in the industry must now generate sufficient cash to be able to invest in the future. Therefore, restructuring, including drastic cuts, is unavoidable. Now, some of Europe's largest companies like ZF, who make transmissions, and Bosch are also undergoing massive restructuring efforts. This is not just these guys, though. I mean, we're looking at the Volkswagen Group firing 35,000 staff. We're hearing that Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi will do similar things. According to Jonas Eckhart, the tone in insolvency proceedings has become harsher over the last 1 to 1.5 years. In restructuring, we will increasingly see significant staff reductions and site closures. So a lot of these businesses will declare insolvency. They'll be restructured. They'll get rid of half the employees. This is one way to get around Germany's employee labor laws. They have labor laws where you basically can't fire people. This is one way they're getting around it. They're declaring insolvency, they're restructuring, getting rid of half the staff, closing down some of the factories, and sort of re-emerging as a much more streamlined and cost-efficient business. But in the process, lots of people, lots of jobs are being lost. He believes, apparently, experts say that restructuring is the right way to go. You have to use the insolvency and adapt as a company to the current level of demand. That will remain low in the long term. Nothing is about to change. So that's what's being reported in Germany right now, and of course in Europe as well. There's manufacturers that are pushing the German government, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Audi. They're all saying we can't ban Chinese cars from Europe, which is strange considering the fact that their own automotive industry is in crisis. What do you guys think about this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.